You know, in a world that's changing faster than ever, our most important skill might not be what we know, but how well we can rethink it. Today, we're diving into this exact idea from Adam Grant's Think Again. And we're going to start with a story where thinking again was literally a matter of life and death.
Okay, picture this. It's 1949. A team of elite smoke jumpers, the best of the best, they parachute into a wildfire in Montana. But this fire, it's something else. It's bigger and way faster than anything they've ever seen. And pretty soon, they realize they're not fighting a fire anymore. They're running for their lives.
So their foreman, a guy named Wagner Dodge, he does something crazy. In a split second, he stops running, pulls out a match, and starts burning the grass right in front of him. He creates what's called an escape fire and yells for his crew to get in the ashes with him. But they don't. They just keep running, still holding on to all their heavy tools, their axes, their saws, these 20-pound packs. And here's the absolute key to the whole story. For a firefighter, what are they without their tools? Dropping them felt wrong. It was like betraying their training, their entire identity. And tragically, only 3 of those 15 men made it out alive.
That story is such a powerful metaphor for our own minds, isn't it? We all have our own cognitive tools, our beliefs, our assumptions. And just like those smoke jumpers, we often refuse to let go of them, even when they're the very things weighing us down. So that leads to the big question. What is it that makes us cling so tightly to our own ideas?
Well, Adam Grant argues that when our core beliefs get challenged, our brains kind of get hijacked. We slip into these mindsets that are fantastic for defending our egos, but absolutely terrible for finding the truth.
As we go through these, just think to yourself, which one sounds a little too familiar? The first one is
The preacher. Oh, you have totally seen this, right? Maybe at a family dinner, when someone starts repeating the exact same talking points they heard on the news. They're not there to listen or learn, they're there to convert you. They're giving a sermon, and they are 100% sure they're right.
And then we've got the prosecutor. This is basically the default mode for half the internet. The goal here isn't understanding, it's winning. You're just listening for that one little flaw, that weak spot in the other person's logic, so you can pounce on it and prove them wrong. Case closed.
And finally, there's the politician. With this one, being right is way less important than being liked. Just think of that person in a meeting who just kind of nods and agrees with whatever the most powerful person in the room says. It's all about campaigning for approval, not actually searching for the best idea. Okay, so if the preacher, the prosecutor, and the politician are the traps we all fall into, what's the escape route? Grant says we need to adopt a totally different mindset.
The scientist. See, a scientist doesn't treat their opinions like they're sacred truths. They're just hypotheses waiting to be tested. They're actually excited to be proven wrong because, hey, that means they just learned something new. But to really think like a scientist, we have to get over a really common mental hurdle.
which has the best name ever, the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's that dangerous place where our confidence is way, way higher than our actual competence. We're not just ignorant, we're totally clueless about our own ignorance.
So this puts us on a kind of spectrum. On one end, you've got what's called armchair quarterback syndrome, totally blind to your own weaknesses. And on the other end, you've got impostor syndrome, where you're blind to your strengths. The real goal is to land in that sweet spot right in the middle.
And that sweet spot is called confident humility. It's this beautiful mix of having faith in your ability to learn, while also being totally aware that you don't have all the answers. It's knowing what you don't know. This is the new tool we need to pick up. Now here's where it gets really cool. Adopting this scientist mindset doesn't just change how we think, it totally changes how we can help other people rethink too.
So get this. There's this master debater, Harish Natarajan. In one debate, the audience support for a policy started at 79%. After Harish argued against it, support dropped all the way to 62%. And he did it not by attacking people, but by basically inviting them to think a little deeper about their own position.
So how in the world did he do that? Well, he completely avoided being a preacher or a prosecutor. Instead of just arguing why he was right, he actually started by finding common ground. He asked about how the policy would actually work, and he used just a few really strong points instead of a whole bunch of weak ones.
This is pretty much a playbook for having better arguments. When you start with agreement, it signals, hey, we're on the same team here. And asking how forces people to really confront the details of what they believe. And by using just your strongest arguments, you don't give them an easy weak point to attack and dismiss everything you've said.
Okay, so let's take this incredible idea and apply it to the most important subject of all, ourselves. Because the biggest act of rethinking isn't about winning an argument or escaping a fire. It's about how we look at our own capacity for growth.
Check out this story about a first grader named Austin. His teacher, Ron Berger, gives him an assignment, draw a butterfly. And his first try was, well, it was a first grader's drawing. But his teacher didn't just pat him on the back and say, "Good job."
No. Instead, he turned the entire class into a critique workshop. But it wasn't harsh at all. The feedback was specific, it was helpful, and it was kind. The students became this little team, all working together to help Austin make a better second draft, and then a third, and then a fourth. And the result? It was an absolute transformation. Austin's drawing became this incredible, beautiful piece of work. This story just shows us that our work, our ideas, even our identities, they're not finished products. They're all just first drafts waiting to be improved.
And that's really the heart of it all. Being willing to drop the tools that are weighing you down, treating your own beliefs like they're just hypotheses to be tested, seeing a disagreement not as a fight, but as a chance to learn something new, and remembering that your life plan, it's just a draft, and it is always, always ready for revision.
So that brings us to the final and maybe most important question. What heavy tool are you still carrying around? What's that one belief you've held onto for so long that letting it go feels like you'd be losing a part of yourself? Because maybe, just maybe, dropping that tool is the very thing that will save you.